welcome to the first installment of the year of the Zionsville Football Fantasy Football League Fantasy Football Podcast. Starting in the preseason, this week brought to you as always by our fine folks at Sleeper. Sleeper, the only fantasy football that made for fans by fans. This is a show we take a look in the details and going on in this league because we all know our pussy-ass bitch commissioner won't. I'm here with my co-host as usual, Mr. RJ Wagner. RJ, it's been a long offseason. How are you doing?
It is year number 2 of the podcast. I'm excited to get going, Teddy. I'm glad that the commissioner is done holding us up, trying to get his headphones to work. You'd think your commissioner may become more prepared next time, to start the season with the podcast, but looks like it's just same shit, new year,
Speaking of shit, hey Trev, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. We're back, baby. Football is back. Just knocking the rust off here a little bit. It took me a while to get back on this Zoom. I don't think I've been on a Zoom since the last podcast. But we're back up and running.
We're back up and running. We're about 2 weeks out from draft week. Can you imagine that? Doesn't that sound crazy?
It really does, Ted.
Arizona drafting on August 31st. Mark your calendars. I'm assuming everyone has their travel ready to go. But I know
everyone but one person has given their travel information. So
do you wish to call out? Is the
the one man that is all in the NFL with all the inside scoops, he hasn't even said anything. So who knows if he'll be there? Maybe he won't.
Do you think he's got some insider information that he doesn't want to spill? Like maybe he's been in Pittsburgh, so he can't, maybe he's doing some talking.
Some trade negotiations. I think he's in on that. That is part of his new job description, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know.
Too busy at training camp getting the scoop on Ayuk.
We will see. Now, we don't have too much planned. This might only be a 2-3 hour podcast instead of a normal length. But I just wanted to at least very first just talk about last season, about any lessons you guys learned, how you might approach this season differently. If there's any players you're watching out for, stuff you're afraid of. Trev, I know you had some real tough problems with your quarterbacks. How are you seeing how you might look at this year differently?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to give too much away before draft night. But I've definitely thought long and hard throughout the offseason about what went wrong last
Very
year.
long, very hard, very girthy, very purple, very oddly colored.
Very long and hard offseason. But I'm thinking about some new draft strategies. I think the quarterback position, I've thought of a couple different ways to recover from what happened last year. But jumping off the page, just something that I think I can give away is just the running back position. It just seems like it's going to be a very interesting year for running backs, if y'all know what I mean.
Yeah. Me personally, I think this is the oddest group of running backs we have ever seen in fantasy history since we've at least had this league. Because I see 2 of my running backs going in round 1, and I don't see how. I just don't. Based on last year's production, Breece Hall and Bijan, I don't know. I just don't see it. I don't see it personally, but I said that last year with Bijan going in the first round, and I still drafted him first round. So I'm probably going to try and get pick number 8 and then get Bijan and Breece at 8-9. So who knows what's going to happen? I'm the least prepared I've been. Like last year, I think I did over 200 mock drafts going into the season, and I felt really prepared. But I have not done that. I have gone on Sleeper, the fantasy app made by fans for fans, and I've done a few mock drafts, just probably 3 real ones, and I'm trying to get a good draft from each draft position. and then save those and kind of go off of that based on what I end up getting.
Now,
It's a good idea.
I haven't done any preparation as normal. I normally wait until about 4 o'clock day of to Google 2024 fantasy rankings. But I just took a look at ESPN's fantasy football draft kit, and I think it's a little surprising at the amount of players who were there last year who weren't there last year. Trev, who do you think has the biggest fall off from last year to this year? Because I know for me, last year I was like, oh, Derrick Henry, he'll keep doing great. Oh, Saquon, he'll keep doing great. They did not. Who do you think is this year's projected, did great, won't do great?
Yeah, well, I think just speaking of the running backs and that question, I think what's going to be interesting is that there's in free agency there were so many moves, so we just don't know how a lot of these running backs on new teams are going to be fitting into the new scheme of their team. How they're going to do. I mean, we got, speaking of those two names, Saquon at the Eagles, we got Derrick Henry at the Ravens, we got Josh Jacobs at the Packers, we got Aaron Jones, Vikings, Austin Eckler, Commanders. I mean, there's who else? Tony Pollard, Titans. There's just so many different running backs on new teams that it's hard to tell how they're going to fit into that scheme of that new team. And along with that, new coaches like Bijan, like their new coach said they're going to use him like Christian McCaffrey. Well, we saw what happened with Bijan last year with Arthur Smith. I mean, who knows like how Bijan's going to fit into that offense with the new coach, new quarterback. So I think there's just a lot of openness in the air. You just don't know how it's going to go. So really, I feel like it's hard to be prepared for this draft, and you just don't know which of those players are going to fall off. We got some running backs coming off of injury, so who knows? I mean, it's really just choose and pick who you think's going to have a good year. And I don't know if I know that. I'm just going to go into draft night hoping I have some luck on my side this year and no injuries.
Now, RJ, do you want to give away any star players last year that you think?
Yeah, I do. Thank you for asking. A couple guys that I think could have some down years. Nick Foles, Matt Ryan, Matthew Slater, Tavon Austin, Teddy Bridgewater, Rex Burkhead, those Randall Cobb, Tariq Cohen, even those are just a couple of guys I think because they have retired. So I do think that they will have a much worse year this year in fantasy than in last year. Those are just a couple.
No, I think it's a guarantee that they won't live up to their production last year.
What'd you say? Say that again.
Those guys guaranteed won't live up to their production last year.
Even though I would say
Matt Ryan didn't down last year, so I don't know why you brought him up.
Yeah, that's a good Devontae Parker, even Leighton Vander Esch, Aaron Donald.
You just looked up a defensive player.
Jason Kelsey, Fletcher Cox, even. I have a feeling that none of them will have the years they had last year.
Well, why don't we keep going
with this? Good point with Vander Esch. I mean, especially with drafting defensive players this year. Can't forget to get those IDPs. So.
Yes, I can't wait.
David Johnson, Darren Waller, even.
Well, staying on track. So we're down to 4. We've got hometowns next week. Trevor, out of Marcus, Jeremy, Devin, Jonathan, who do you think really has to perform this week at home?
Keep the main thing the main thing? Which one of them are going to be keeping the main thing the main thing?
Because hometowns can mean a lot. They can I think you really have to dig yourself out during hometowns because family's a big thing for Jen. She's been on about that the whole time. Trevor, who do you think really has to perform this week?
Well, I think that now that the Blacks, the House of Blacks now have more dragons, so I think they're going to have.
Wow!
What?
Wow!
Talking about the Blacks versus the Greens.
What's that? What's that?
They have more dragons now, so they're going to have more to build up for season 3. I think that, I mean, it's going to be a long off season, but I mean, I think that since there's more dragons on the House of Blacks, that there's going to be a little bit more of there's going to be some more battles hopefully in season 3. I mean, we had that episode 4 battle this year in season 2, so that was exciting. But after that, the season kind of dragged on. But I mean, you just never know what Eamon has up his sleeve. And then Rhaenyra, I mean, I think she's ready to go to war. So we'll see.
Okay, I will tell all our viewers, in case you thought Trevor had been, canoodling with Kevin a little bit too much this offseason, the Blacks are a political faction that support the claim of Rhaenyra Targaryen as heir to the Iron Throne, as on HBO's House of the Dragon.
Yeah, you gave me a Kevin reaction there.
I thought that's where you're going with that.
Well, now I'll move it on to you, RJ. Who do you think has to really prove themselves during hometowns?
Well, I think proving it'll have to be, in my opinion, Jeremy, because I believe he is the one that is most questionable for the overnights. And what'd you say?
Who would want to go overnight with Jeremy at all? Like, you sent Grant home for Jeremy to be at overnights? Come on.
Yeah, exactly. I could not agree more. Marcus, I think, is a shoo-in, even though I have been seeing some TikTok allegations yesterday about him and ex-women that he had pursued and sexually assaulted them. So that has come up. Don't know if that affects on the show at all. But if she ended up choosing him, I'm sure that has brought up a few red flags. I think Jonathan's an absolute shoo-in. The personality there is impeccable. They work so well together. They were both college lacrosse players. I think that's huge. And just that smile, it just makes me kick my feet. I get so excited. I get so giddy watching them interact. But I think, and you can't count out Devin. You can't at all. He's that smooth charm. I think you said it. He's like the Pete Davidson. He's ugly as hell, but he is smooth and sharp and witty. But yeah, I think Jonathan's gone. Or Jeremy. Sorry, Jeremy.
Oh,
Wrong Jay. Jonathan's the winner. He's at least the winner of my heart. So,
True.
What do you think, Teddy? What do you think?
For hometowns this week, I think it really comes between Jeremy and Devin. I think Devin really has to show something more, but rather than this just like sort of like face guy. Like, he's made Jen feel special, but can he really make her feel like he can settle down and live a life together? Where I feel so far like he's done great at the dating part of it, but it's really it's not about the show's about finding a match for life.
Yeah.
Even though I think like 5% of the couples on The Bachelor actually end up married after like 6 months, but
still fun to watch. It's entertaining, and I could not agree more with your observation of Devin. He's a great dater, but is he going to be a good marrier?
Is he, is he marriage material?
I don't see it personally.
Are we talking about like Jeremy Shockey, Marcus Allen, Devin Funchess,
Jonathan Shaw?
They're going back to like their hometown teams, how they're going to do this year.
5th grade all-star quarterback, Jonathan Shaw.
Bunch. Is that who we're talking about here?
Yeah, that's who we're talking about.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure I wasn't lost.
Wait, the crazy thing to me that you said the All Blacks, Trevor, they were in an episode. The rugby team, aren't they called the All Blacks?
That is
the
true.
Australian rugby team. They were on the episode.
Trevor's talking about the House of the Dragon.
I know, but when he first said it, I reacted that way because I was like, wait a second, that was a couple episodes back, but that's impressive that you pulled that out.
We got some show crossover here.
Well, I think, to my chagrin, I think we're actually going to have to take a quick commercial break. But we'll be right back with those power rankings that I'm sure you have all been waiting for, voted on by the Associated Press. We'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsor.
Stability never felt better. From downtown to uptown, take the scenic route. From the everyday to the unexpected, you can run through it. Adaptive stability and premium comfort. The Gel Kayano 30 shoe. Nothing feels better.
Welcome back. I want to say thank you to our sponsors once again. We sure do love
A6.
But here we are, we're back, we're chatting. We've got the commissioner, we've got our co-host of the ZFFFL FFPOD, RJ. First, I wanted to get into, we've got some official ZFFFL FFPOD power rankings for this season. And I'm gonna start out flat 8-1, and then we can sort of talk about where we think who should be higher, who should be lower. We got these, our producers put this together, so there might be some dissension among us, but I'm just gonna start reading it. So
Who put this together? The producers? Was this voted on, or
the producers of, we've got executives, we've got higher ups, we've got talking with like NBC, ABC, CBC.
okay? So this is like the media
BBC.
poll.
Yeah. We've got a lot.
Okay.
So here are the rankings. The official ZFL FF Pod Power Rankings. Starting at last, I don't think you should be surprised, Kevin. Then 7th, Jack. 6, Trevor.
That's bullshit.
5, Teddy. 4, RJ. 3, Chase. 2, Monty. And a real surprise, AP preseason poll, Kyle coming in at number 1. A lot of people are liking him. They're thinking this might be his year. I put them in the chat. I'll put them up on the screen during the podcast. But how are you guys feeling? Who should be higher? Who should be lower? Is there anything you disagree with?
Kyle from worst to first, huh?
I'm thinking there's a lot of people saying Kyle.
You're thinking? Oh, you're thinking that a lot of people are saying.
A lot of people are thinking. There's been chatter. Yeah, in the Associated Press, the AP, they're putting Kyle. He had a tough season last season, but they're looking at his recruiting class. They're looking at his methods. They're looking at his offseason moves, and they're thinking he's had the right pieces, but just the wrong ideas. He's had the right ideas, the wrong pieces. They're thinking this might be the year that things come together. I'm thinking you guys disagree.
Well, I just going off of what we've seen. If we're going off of recency bias, I'm just trying to get in the head of the voters. Monty being second, I get. I mean, he's the reigning champ. Kyle has not won since 2017. So that would, I don't see where they're coming from with Kyle also being last place and not having won in the last 7 years. So that's a little shocking to me. I do believe Kevin should be a little bit lower, personally. And for me, I love where I'm at, 4th, right there in the middle. I think I finished, what did I finish last year? 4th or 5th? Yeah. I think me and you, Teddy, we're either at the top or the bottom. We're not really anywhere in the middle. So I think I could see me either being a lot lower or right up there at the top. And if we had Kyle on here, we could go back through his statistics of long-term, win percentage, loss percentage. But my overall loss percentage, I'm one of the worst in the league. And then Jack, you had him at 7th. I'm personally bumping him up. Maybe in next week's Lead to the Draft podcast, I could go through my power rankings with some explanations. but off the top of the dome, I'm putting him a little bit higher. But definitely not high. Like if we were polling on hosting guests, he would be at the very bottom because he has been absolute dog shit, making us not telling us, you yeah, you guys can stay at my place. That's cool. And then just 2 weeks before we go, yeah, no, you can't do that anymore. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know where to take us. Like, they're not a Top Golf, There's got to be something. Laser tag, but I digress.
I think the bottom. I'm looking at this in tiers here. I think that you got the bottom tier spot on. Kevin last for sure. He's never won. Jack, I think, is in a good position there at 7th. I think just the stress of hosting, I think we'll just put Jack down there at the bottom. He's also never won. I mean, we've seen that past year, Kyle hosted, got last. So maybe hosting's a curse. So I think Jack's in a good spot there at 7. Hope also, Jack, make sure you get that draft board. And then as far as us three sitting at 4, 5, 6, and those other 3 at 1, 2, 3, I would actually switch those. I think we should be in the 1, 2, 3 spots.
Wow.
And Kyle, Monty, and Chase a little bit lower. Kyle coming off last place, it's going to be hard to bounce back from that. Monty, all his success last year, it's going to be hard to do that in back-to-back
Wrong with Trevor's
years.
video.
He's a slideshow.
Yeah.
Am I going robot
Very
here?
beep boop bop. No, we can
Sounded-
hear you just fine.
very
We can hear
deep.
you just fine.
Sounding very beep boop bop in my headphones. But Monty coming off the win last year, I think it's going to be tough to repeat that. I'd put him maybe a little lower. And then Chase, rumors are he doesn't have his flight yet. So is he really bought in this year? And he's got, all that NFL work he's doing, all that big time work he's doing. So I think that he needs to be a little bit lower. Here we are, us three already talking about our mock drafts, already preparing for the draft. That'd bump us up. So that's where I'd put.
It's true.
Those are these rankings. They might, be shifted, as people take a look, if we do this again. But, as it stands, I think you guys make some valid criticisms. Can Kyle keep going? Who really knows what the voters were thinking, what the Associated Press, all the journalists, everyone involved. But I can speak, just looking at this list, I think it's a pretty good list. Now, I know that might be surprising because you might think, did you make this list? Now, maybe. But, I'm just taking a look. I think Kevin and Jack, they've gotten a little too cocky. That's why I'm putting them at the bottom. They haven't even won this league. So really, they've got to earn a spot up there. And, us three, just looking at last season, it's not like we played bad. We were trying, but we didn't do it. And then Chase, Monty, if Monty tries this year, I think that's the biggest thing. Chase is always gonna poop out the best fantasy team in the league, no matter what he does. And I'm a big Kyle believer. I'll say it. I think he's been putting in the work. He's got the stats. But we'll see.
Come back to you, Jack. I know this is your present. Sorry that I still have it. I have one thing to say. I got a letter from the ASIC Sportsbook.
Whoa.
And it's just a reminder, the worst that someone did last year was lose $60. I think, I don't have the number in front of me. Maybe I can get that by next podcast. But I think we should aim for doubling the amount of money bet in the sports book. I've heard that they might have some fun things going on in the middle of the season, maybe some free bets, some profit boosts, just to try to get some more action in the sports book, and maybe another wheel spin for a Starbucks gift card or something, based on how much money you've bet. So You never know what could come from the sports book.
I want that big piece of the pie. Speaking of it, real quick, this is going back to these standings. So this is year 15 extra ghosts. Kevin had 14 years of the league that he hasn't won, and Jack has had, I believe this is my math is correct, this will be his 9th year, so 8 years not winning. So those are good spots having them in the bottom.
Also, we forgot to mention, Jack has a whole wedding to be focusing on up through the start of the season.
Wait, hey,
a lot of distractions.
What do you think Jack is in any way, shape, or form involved in the planning
That's true.
of his own wedding?
That's true. He hasn't even planned the bachelor trip in his place.
And he's busy with tax season.
Yeah. Tax season is about to be crazy. September 15th, that what is it? The extended deadline. It's gonna be crazy. We'll see. But as we're wrapping up here, I know our commissioner had a lot to talk about, the new rules, all like the updates and changes he's done on the NFL fantasy app. He's been going through and relooking at just like restructuring the mainframe of how our league's set up. He's been talking with Sleeper Associates. Commissioner, do you have anything to say about the future, how this next season's looking in terms of a fantasy experience?
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of new changes here coming up for year 15. So I don't know if you guys have heard, but we're doing half-point PPR. We're doing a draft board this year.
Are we half point with tight end premium, or when does that tight end premium start to come into play?
I think so. That's 6. Tight end.
Week 6, we're starting it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, mid-season.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep, definitely happening. And then, I mean, everything else is just changing. Like the last place game is still just 1 week. We're still not doing. I mean, we're now doing no negative points for missed kicks. We're now doing no defensive points for block kicks. So a lot of big changes coming up for this year. Buy-in.
I haven't seen those. Oh, keep going. I thought you were telling us to buy in. Like, all right, guys, we need you to buy in. But okay, I didn't know you were continuing.
What else we got here?
The buy-in.
Yeah, buy-in. I'm not gonna publicize what the buy-in is for our viewers, but we can talk about that draft weekend if anybody needs a reminder on that. And then
you don't know what it is right now, do you?
I do. I just don't want people to think that we're paying too much or too little based on our viewership. So, and then a lot of big changes coming up, and something else I was going to mention that I now forget. But
have you made any of those changes? Have you made those changes on the site yet?
I was going to say, yes, those changes are in place, and be on the lookout for the schedule drop coming next weekend. 1 weekend,
wow.
1 week before draft day, we'll have the 2024 season schedule release.
So, that might change how I decide to draft based off of who I might be playing week 1.
Be on the lookout for that. Also, Jack, reminder to have some ideas floating around about how we decide draft order.
Sure. I'm game for that. I'm game for the duck again. I like the duck. I've actually seen more people do that, like on social media this season already than I've never seen that duck thing before until we did it last year. And now I see it all over Twitter. Huh?
Duck race.
Exact same duck race?
Yeah, the exact same duck race.
Was there a green one on the one you've seen?
I don't know. I don't see color.
So it was rigged, is what we're saying. Jack, make sure it's nothing based on skill. All luck. He's not even going to listen to this. So
no,
giving him reminders.
He's not. Tax season. I do want to get into something. Teddy, do you have anything else, or should I get into?
I did not have any more formal matters. I just
Okay.
wanted to give some quick reminders. People, make sure you're thinking about your team names. Definitely have to have them. I know last year it was like week 2 when some people were changing their team names. Wasn't a fan of that.
I'll be having that.
Make sure you get those in. Yeah, I just wanted to say, Jack, I don't want to say formally that you're an enemy of the podcast, but I know you're not going to listen to this, but we'd love to have you on and discuss, just bring some hype for the draft weekend, get some people excited, talk about where we could go. But I'm sure you won't listen to this, so I won't even bring it up. But other than that, I didn't really have anything.
Don't forget Division I snacks, Division II drinks. Don't forget those for draft weekend as well.
And let me know a help.
Oh,
He's doing that because the champion did that last year, so he's just trying to anything to get himself back in champ status.
Give me some of that luck, Monty.
So Trev, how about that? Your flight information. You're flying in Saturday early morning, flying back Sunday late at night. I've heard rumors that you're trying to stay for the least amount of time compared to anyone. So, are you really dedicated to this league?
Didn't want to say.
I am. Some things come up with work. I'm getting there as early as I can. I believe I'm the last one to leave. So,
okay. I've heard rumors also through the office out here because I'm in a I go to a WeWork. It's like you rent out the offices and stuff.
Yeah.
And a couple people that also rent out the offices here are A6 Sportsbook employees. I've heard rumors that they are. It depends if we get extra people betting, that there might be some preseason betting rankings once the schedule drops. That might be dropping.
Oh yeah.
That's what I've heard for week one, and for full season. Yeah. The odds for week 1 might already be coming out before the teams even get drafted.
You just let me know when that A6 Sportsbook word gets across your desk. I'm in. I'm gonna play some futures.
That is exciting.
Some win totals, maybe even some odds on draft, like who's gonna go 1-1, 1-2.
Wait, like players or
yeah.
But that could be easily influenced.
Trevor,
which of us will get which of us will get first round pick.
This is the most excited Trevor's bet in his entire He's got a look in his eye.
Excited to get back on that A6 Sportsbook, baby.
All right, I just have one more thing, and it's I would love to go over the ZFFFL questionnaire that was sent into the group last week.
Yes.
I'd love to go through the responses from what we've got. Obviously, they're all anonymous, so we don't know who said what.
Mm-hmm.
But just to run through some of these so we can get a full, vibe through the group. And obviously I'm passing these on to the higher ups to see what we can do about them. So we can get answers by draft weekend. But the first question was, what do you think of the ZFFFL FFPOD last year? So we got 5 responses, which is good. 4 of them said satisfied. And then one person wrote in, and all they wrote was "Binky so stinky." So I don't know where that lands on that spectrum personally between the satisfied and dissatisfied. But there was one "Binky so stinky," and then,
These are anonymous, so we don't know who said that.
Yeah, no, completely anonymous. No idea who said that one. But. So I mean, that's okay. 80% was satisfied, and then 20% was a little binky too stinky.
Okay.
So there's that, and then the next question was, if you were not satisfied, what could we as hosts provide for you, the viewer, that would pique your interest more, i.e. more or less guests, other segments, shorter, longer, whatever. The responses were written in. We got bring the bink back with a bunch of exclamation points, new segments, more analytics.
Okay.
This person said they were not satisfied with Jack choosing to never come on the pod. That's a good point.
Good answer.
Someone else said this was the best addition we've made. Longer pods, more episodes, all caps, give me more. So those are those answers. So we'll take those into consideration, do what we can, and provide feedback. Or we're glad for the provided feedback. Then the next, how did you feel about the ASICS Sportsbook last year? Okay, 5 responses as well. 3 of the 5 said they were satisfied.
Ooh.
1 actually said they were somewhat satisfied, so not fully. And then someone wrote in erect. It took all my money. So I would assume that is dissatisfied, or is with the erection they might be satisfied they took their money. I don't see how those two exclamatories really work together, but there's that. And then if you were not satisfied with ASICS Sportsbook, what could be added to get more involvement from you? And we gave some options, maybe some peer-to-peer betting based on, personal matchups, i.e. you guys go against each other. Maybe you both want to bet on your own sides. We could close that gap so, more profit are in your pocket, not the sports books. Something like that, or maybe more contests, like highest scorer of the week. We could do a player, we could do a team player, crazy odds, something like that. Or just have a running tally of you pick every game. Just pick a side, winner of every game for the whole year. Winner maybe gets a prize at the end of the year party. That would be fun. No buy-ins needed. Something like that, or maybe buy-ins needed if we want a grander prize. But they responded with contests sound like a great idea. More boost to encourage participation. This person said, I like the peer-to-peer idea. Would love if we would keep it simple, but add incentives to get more people to bet. Like people sweating a Monday Night Football matchup that's complete blowout, but they took the over or something. I like that. Maybe adding a total over-under. That would add a fun element. Maybe person with the most profit by the end of the year gets something at the draft party or in Vegas. I don't know. I would say if the person with the most profit, their end of the year gift would be the profit that they want. I think that personally, that's what I would think. And then the third person responded with taking less of my money. So we'll maybe make better bets if you want less of your money. Interested in a league eliminator. We got 5 responses. 3 said yes, 2 said no. So it's looking kind of iffy. We do that. And then possible weekly DFS league, 5 responses, 4 said no, 1 said yes. So they weren't looking for that either. And then the next question was, do you ever just feel worthless and wish the pain would just go away? 1 person said yes, 4 said all of the time. And then just the final, any other comments, questions, concerns we have. How much time do we have left? Are we down?
People want longer pods, apparently.
You're right. Any other comments, questions, concerns? We got 4 of them. Will we have pre-draft futures? So that's one that we talked about possibly coming out next week along with the schedule. 1 person said, fuck Trevor.
Nice.
1 person said, fuck you, Trevor. I love you all.
Wow.
And then someone said, this is the last one, I really appreciate the last question because I am such a piece of shit, and this time of year is when I'm always closest to killing myself. And the league usually makes me put the knife down. but I don't really know anymore. It's getting harder and harder. Like, what really is there in life that makes me worth something? I haven't found the answer, and I'm starting to get really scared I never will. But yeah, please keep Division I as drinks and Division II as snacks. I think that works well. So that was the last. So that was when I read that, that was when I realized maybe I shouldn't have put this as anonymous. I should have really, so we would know who we need to look out for in this, league. But I guess that's just that. Those are the cards that we played, and we'll never know who wrote that. So
At least we got honest answers, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll keep Division I drinks, Division II snacks. Maybe save a life in the process.
Yeah. Snacks and drinks where they are.
Because I was thinking about switching it up until I read that, and I was like, you know what, we better keep it the same.
If we do, we have blood on our hands.
Yeah.
So make sure Division I, you keep it with snacks. Division II, make sure you keep it with drinks.
Oh, wait.
Wait a minute. Wait.
Knife goes up.
Eddie, I got one more thing. I know you like to hear my my college football my betting cards. I've got a mortal lock for week 0. My first mortal lock of the year.
When is it
Week 0 is next weekend, next Saturday.
the 17th?
24th.
Okay. So we got plenty of time. What's the mortal lock?
Mortal lock. Game being played in Ireland. Dublin, Ireland.
Oh!
Ooh.
Played the fiddle in an Irish band, fell in love with an Englishman.
You know I love those Irish. We've got Florida State and Georgia Tech. Florida State -12. Mortal lock.
Wow.
No way that does not hit.
Wow. That is crazy. The line has changed, and you can now get Florida State at 11.
Oh, gonna double down.
Even better.
Looks like you got some bad lines. Yep, 11 at Caesars -110. That's what the line has moved to now. So you might want to double down on that. But when you were in Ireland, did you go to the field, check out the terrain, see what it was like?
Yeah, seems like the playing surface more benefits Florida State. So they're gonna win by 30. So
wow.
That is good to know. I'm excited to see if that hits. This podcast historically has done great on bet predictions. So we'll see if it's the podcast or see if it's Binky. See if the commissioner is just leading us astray yet again. But unless you guys don't have anything more, I think this has been a great first preseason episode. There potentially could be more to come as we gear up for this season. I don't have anything more. RJ's putting on a hat.
Got this yesterday at National Creamsicle Day. Got it for free.
Zuki.
And with that, I think that's all we have. As always, thank you for listening to the Design of Football, Fantasy Football League, Fantasy Football Podcast. Make sure to start thinking about the draft, think about your new name, start thinking about, fun ways that you can do some extra stuff in Phoenix yourself, stuff for this season, because, this podcast doesn't make the league. The commissioner doesn't make the league. We all make this league. So let's, all take an active participation.
And it would be nice if everyone actually did something to help this league and not just sit on their ass and do taxes.
Exactly. I don't know who that was aimed at.
It could be anyone.
But
Texas fantasy football.
Yes, make sure to follow us on our socials at ZFFFL FFPOD on all major platforms. I want to say thank you for watching, listening, and as always,
fuck you, Trevor.
Good luck this year, guys. You're 15. Extra dose.
Fuck you.
Woo-hoo.